My name's Jo Strictland and I was Deputy Stage Manager in 2009 for A New World, in 2010 for Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, in 2011 for Much Ado About Nothing and The Globe Mysteries, and in 2011 for Playing Shakespeare with Deutsche Bank, Macbeth. The role of stage management does vary from production to production, and I know that sounds like a cliche, but it really is true. So generally at the Globe there's a team of four. There's an assistant stage manager, a deputy stage manager, a stage manager and a company stage manager. So in my role as deputy stage manager, during rehearsals I spent most of my time in the rehearsal room with the actors and with the director, making sure they had what they needed, whether it's tea and coffee or whether it's a keyboard or rehearsal props. It was also my responsibility to make sure we created a sensible schedule for the day, which involves all the right people being in the right place at the right time, which could often be quite complicated if you're rehearsing a certain number of scenes and you're also looking to include fight calls or music calls or costume fittings or interviews with press. I also was responsible for making sure that the technical team knew about everything that was happening in rehearsals which might affect things that they were working on. The set designer, like all members of the creative team, so a composer or the costume designer, would need to know anything and everything that's coming out of rehearsals which might affect the work they're working on. So, for example, we might want to tell the set designer if we see a certain part of the set getting wet, because it might affect the way it's going to be painted. Or we might request things from the set designer, so please can you make it possible to have a hook at that point because we have a quick change and we need to hang a costume there. Alternatively, I can also ask things of the set designer. Is it currently the plan that we'll be able to fit an actor behind the flat at the back of the stage as we'd like to use it as a hiding place? And that would mean that the designer can be more flexible with their design to fit the production as it's evolving in rehearsals. The Globe Theatre presents in itself a number of technical challenges. There's a lot of things that you might take for granted in other theatres that obviously aren't possible at the Globe. For example, when working on the Globe Mysteries in 2011, it was rather complicated to establish how to crucify Jesus on a 20-foot high crucifix. Unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury of going to blackout at the end of the scene and the crucifix disappearing into the flies in the heavens and just disappeared within 3 seconds. We had to, with the director and with the composer, work out a way of stage management coming on stage in costume, dressed as builders, to strike such a massive piece of equipment, and we had to make it part of the fabric of the show. There was another time on Henry VIII in 2010 where we needed to open the trap. We had a box on top of the trapdoor. We had to open the box and show that it was empty, and we had to close it again. In the meantime, an actor had climbed up through the trap into the box and then came out through the box. So in another theatre, as long as the actor's low enough, that would work, that would fine, but the height that the Globe Theatre had on that part of the stage meant that people in the upper gallery could see into the box. So we had to find a way to make sure it looked like it was a wooden bottomed box, and then in a few seconds have an actor crawl through it. This relates to Macbeth in 2011 with Playing Shakespeare with Deutsche Bank, where the very first thing I had to do in the show was stand in the middle gallery, fire an air horn as loud as I could, and then send an actor down a zip wire from the middle gallery to the pillar. I have to confess it was rather nerve-wracking. I didn't want them to get stuck on that wire above the yard, and alternatively I didn't want to smash them into the pillar. And the excitement and the buzz and the screams that were coming from the audience at that point in our high-powered opening to the show was rather distracting, so I had to really maintain my concentration, but it was a lot of fun, and thankfully there were no injuries.